Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I am joined by my buddy Myron.
Oh man, I love those Saved by the Bell graphics, Nick. That gets me tickled every time.
I still think there's a shirt there. You brought it
Yeah,
up
there's
last
a
week.
shirt there.
Yeah.
We just need to finish off the design on it.
Yeah.
Something cool and hip.
Yeah, because you know where you can buy the shirts at?
Oh yes.
Pro Wrestling Tees. Yeah, we both have them. Yeah.
Yep.
ProWrestlingTees.com.
I wear them. I wear our merch because it's good quality shirts. Because Pro Wrestling Tees makes the best stuff.
I agree, man. I agree. You know what's also cool? If you sign up high enough level over on patreon.com/tappedoutpod, there's actually a free shirt if you sign up at a high enough level. It's all in the descriptions there. Check it all out. We want to thank all of our Patreon members, especially I saw a big old Huck signed up this past week. We want to welcome Huck to the family here on patreon.com/tappedoutpod, where you get the show early, get it off, and all that good stuff, and all the extras included. And hey, sometimes it's just easier to sign up there than YouTube and podcasts and all that kind of stuff that we all cover. Well, we go over that list at the end of the show, so
it's
I'm not
everywhere
now. Yeah,
it's everywhere, so you can find it. But the Patreon is the hub.
Exactly. Sign up for there. You get all that good stuff. Holiday weekend this past weekend, lots of craziness all over the place. We'll get into that on our Georgia Indie Talk, which is of course separate, as we always talk about on the.
Yes.
So make sure you are subscribing on YouTube, but catch that if you're not a Patreon member as well. But man, let's dive into the meat because we got some questions again. We got a pretty decent amount of questions again, and I'll kind of want to make sure we get through them as much as we can. But let's talk a little bit about the TV talk, which is what we kind of always do here at the beginning of the show, just things that stood out. And there, as you obviously see on that clip, Cody Rhodes, man, is clearly being positioned as the top babyface on Raw. I mean, there was a commercial. There was a commercial that was on NBC or something, Peacock, whatever. Like, it was just him, like, focusing on Raw. I mean, like, he's being literally positioned as, like, the guy on Raw. And then, of course, on Raw, main eventing Raw again, with Kevin Owens. Look, I get it. People didn't really like the count-out ending, which, hey, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not saying I love it either. But my point being is, now, look, time will tell with Cody, right?
Yeah.
But as of right now, he got to keep all of his look. He's still his AEW character. He's positioned as the top guy on babyface on Raw right now. I mean, and some people could beg to differ, whatever, I guess. But I think he is.
He's the face of the show, and he's also the neck tattoo of the show, unfortunately. God, I still can't get over that. That's just the strangest thing. But Cody is living the damn dream, folks. Think about it. Cody is out there on top of the world. Now, this might be the last thing he ever does. It may not wind up very good, but right now, Cody Rhodes is the man. AEW helped him. AEW helped him immensely. And eventually, I think it'll help some other guys on the comeback if they come back later, or if they do, whatever. I think he is leading a path that other people are sure to follow. Well, I think it'll pay off for him.
I mean, listen, when they've had options in the past, guys bounce. I think people are going to probably completely overreact as people jump back and forth between the two. They already have. I mean, for that matter. I just think it's good that they have those options, for one. But hey, but like I said, I mean, if he consistently stays as the top guy on Raw, and who knows, eventually there's probably a run on SmackDown right down the road. I think it's a good thing for wrestling in general, because I think a lot of guys are over in AEW are watching Cody to see how he's booked, treated, whatever you want to call it, and I think that will be a big factor for guys making that decision in the future. Like, are you going to get just shoveled the buried, because you were an AEW, blah blah blah, sort of those. But now I it's funny we talk about him being the top babyface. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday while Raw was on, and I made the argument: is RK Bro actually one of the top baby faces on Raw?
Randy Orton is a babyface. Never ceases to amaze me. But Matt Riddle is money. He's gold.
No, that act is gold.
Yeah.
The two of them together, that act is gold.
Mm-hmm.
So, And obviously, it was funny. I'm drawing a blank on who said it, because there was somebody who tweeted about he was the best wrestler in the world. Randy Orton is, or some best in the world, or best performer in the world, something like that. And I know a lot of people were pushing back on it, but because it's funny that we say this, right? Because the reason why I was going there is because for how long I've said I think the Usos are the best pure tag team in wrestling.
Yeah.
And now we're going to get RK Bro versus Usos in a unification match for those titles.
Where is this going, Nick? Where is all this unification going? Is it leading to a TV deal? Is it? I don't know. I just am puzzled by the whole thing.
Listen, I know some people, it was crazy because for years everybody complained about the brand split. Now it looked like, oh my God, they're going to unify these belts. Now, first of all, I don't think they are, but that's a whole argument. But then they look like they're heading down the path of actually ending the brand split, and people are losing their minds. Like, they don't want to do that either, because I'm like, but I've always thought less belts were more.
Yes.
I thought they were, it gives more prestige to the champions and so forth and so on. Listen, but I hope it ends the brand split, but I don't think it's going to. Being on the two different networks, the only way the brand split ever dies, in my opinion, is if both shows end up back on like USA or something like that, or NBC and USA, where it's in the same family. Otherwise, they feel like they kind of have to. But I like the split.
We're going to get to the point, though, and that's what I worry about, is say Fox is going to be, hey, y'all have the title on USA too much. You got to put the title on Fox. You got to bring the belt back over here. So then you have to storyline back and forth, and you're writing for the TV people. They've got in there, and they're going to start. I mean, wouldn't you want the belt on your show if there's one belt?
So, but I've always made that argument. The champions just have to work both shows.
Yeah, they do have to work both shows. But the thing is, can you work both shows in the same week?
Sure. Why not? Okay. It's Monday and Friday. It's not like it's Monday, Tuesday. It's Monday, Friday.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my take on it. But anyway, I think a lot of it, like you said, is because of the network thing. They already booked for the networks. Like, why is Ronda Rousey on SmackDown? Because Fox wanted her there.
Well, they're more of a sports program.
I mean, but that's my point, though. I mean, Brock was on, was on Raw. He should have been on. You could make that argument to, either way. But listen, it just, booking is what it is, right? And I tell you, there was a booking decision on Raw that finally happened that I'm finally happy with. I liked Rhea Ripley a lot, but I like her as this heel more because I think she can just be more aggressive and more vicious that way.
Yeah. Smiling Rhea Ripley is kind of like, well, she's dressed up like a badass, and she's all in black leather, and she's got on that haunting makeup looking stuff. She's kind of scary looking, but she'd look better as a heel. And I think it'll work better for her. I think she'll be able to develop her character better and probably get over more, because we need more real female heels. You don't get enough of those. You can't have Charlotte Flair doing the only one all the time.
Right. I mean, she's the only one with major, because Becky on Raw is just not, she tries to be a heel, but I think people like her too much.
Yeah. So, you're like, oh, she's just a new mom, and oh, Becky was so sweet, and yeah, Charlotte, legitimate heat. Charlotte always will have legitimate heat.
That's because people
That's what
are
I love
jealous.
about her. And did you see that thing of Rick and Jay Lethal? And I saw Charlotte's post over, what the fuck, Dad?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of what WTF moments, whatever you want to call it. So Ricochet wins again on SmackDown. He beats Jinder Mahal, which I know a lot of people doesn't mean much of anything, other than the fact that Ricochet, being a champion, he's actually getting a winning streak. My question, I just kept saying to somebody, though, is can we expect this to continue? Like, is it just Ricochet's time that, that the creative has finally said, like, okay, it's Ricochet's run now.
Pull the plug. Let's go for it. Let's let him out. Yeah, I hope so. He's amazingly talented. He's a guy that the fans have been begging for, but they didn't have the right thing for him. Maybe they have the right thing for him now. I hope it works. I hope it gains steam. I hope we see a lot more of it.
Yeah, athletic as they come. I completely agree. And that's the whole pushing of the pushing of Ricochet fits in with one of our questions later. So I'll come back to that topic. So make sure you hang around for that because I do want to. I'm going to tie that into some of my thoughts on that question. The over on AEW. Samoa Joe, the big notes from that I have from AEW is he defeated Suzuki. My big notes from AEW is that Samoa Joe wins the Ring of Honor television title. The Ring of Honor
from a New Japan guy.
Yeah, for a company that doesn't have TV after this week. So yeah, exactly. So,
well, I don't know if they don't have TV after this week or not because they were on all three of the AEW programs this last week.
But that's my point. But Ring of Honor doesn't have TV, which we'll address here. There's a question about that later. But listen, the big news of it. How about everybody loved the Suzuki Joe match.
Yes. And they should. It was a great match.
Correct. And of course, then there was a title change. But the big one was that, former, basketball player Satnam Singh. Here's what's crazy. So he makes his debut, and he's more of an athlete than Great Khali. I'm not saying that. But that's essentially what we got. The run in, come from behind, grab him on the head, squeeze him down, so it was very Khali-ish. I really expected the fans. Honestly, I expect this to be crapped on, because it's but it's not gonna be.
You're saying if it had happened on Raw, it would have got shit on.
Yeah, that would have been a big bag of poo dropped right on that one. Yeah, if it was on Raw.
I think the thing is, this is a great opportunity for AEW to get into India with the new TV deal with Time Warner and Discovery. This guy apparently is a really big effing deal in India. Right. Like he's a big celebrity and he'll get eyes. And he's been in Atlanta I didn't even know he was here. He's been down there working on the Power Factory or Nightmare Factory.
Because here's the thing, Myron, agree or disagree. As much as people crapped on the Khali thing and me saying it, most people will take me saying it was very Khali-like. We'll take it as a negative. I'm saying it's a positive because they were successful in the India market by having him on there. Like Khali was like just revered in India,
Yes.
So I kind of mean by that as a positive, not a negative. But is he going to be a wrestler, like pure wrestling? No, he's not. He's going to be a sight. He's going to be, just the mystique, and he's going to hopefully embrace them. And it's a brilliant move by Tony Khan to actually get into that market.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a lot of good come out of this. They're going to put him with Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be handled by the best. I can't see this backfiring on them unless this guy, he has some, something in his closet that is going to pop out and embarrass them all. But it looks to me like it's just money, and he's big.
Yeah,
he's really, really big. And if he has muscle on that frame and can move like an athlete, like Khali never could,
all the potential in the world. I agree with you, man.
Punjabi prison match.
Well, hopefully we don't go there. Speaking of not going there, so there was a little bit of a controversy on Rampage between, Hangman Page and Adam Cole had their match on Good Friday. That is irrelevant to the story. Where during the match, well, I should say at the finish, Page wraps basically some barbed wire on the head of Adam Cole, and then does his finish off of the apron and through a table to the floor. Whole of their conversation we'll follow up on. And then there was like a big stink about it on social media about like, how could you put this crown of thorns on his head on Good Friday? And I watched it back, right? And I'm sitting here watching it, looking at it. And let me ask you this. Like, I guess when I saw it live, I just didn't put the two and two together.
I saw it afterwards on YouTube. I actually watched more AEW this week than I did anything else, which is odd for me. But they had some good stuff. Okay. They're doing the thing. He's got his arm wrapped in barbed wire. He hits him. Okay. Remember, this was recorded Wednesday night. Everybody that produced this match to go on taped on Friday saw that. And if they'd have thought anything about it, they would have changed it. Okay. Clearly, nobody had a problem. I didn't have a problem because he was taking the barbed wire and he was just like, ah. He took it off his arm. I don't think it was planned. I don't think it was supposed to have any significance. It's not like they kept using crucifix power bombs or anything like that. They didn't go all in on this. So
listen, I get it. It's one of those moments where like I was like, oh, I see it. I understand, but but I didn't see it until somebody said it.
Yeah. Why are we at this point with wrestling where we have to have it broken down on social media?
I'm not telling people they can't be offended by it. Like if you
no, I'm not.
I got you.
No.
I understand where you're coming from. I just didn't see it, and I didn't, and that was kind of my big thing, But I was more concerned about the actual move from the apron to the floor, like a spike. I'm like, okay, I didn't like that.
That was scary.
Yeah,
that was scary. To me, that was much more like the eye catcher than the barbed wire on the head.
Yeah.
Okay. And I watched it back a couple times to see. And no, it was the move that was the eye catcher. That's dangerous. But thankfully, nobody was really hurt. So, oh man, wrestling, hardest part of the ring, the floor, the tables, all that stuff.
Yeah. Lots of crazy. Now, but the thing is that on Saturday, there's so much wrestling now in your brain. You have to kind of, at the Battle of the Belts too. I want to talk about the standout match was Gresham versus Dalton Castle. It was for the Ring of Honor title, I guess. And it was so good that it like stood out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was literally that, and it made sure that like Ring of Honor has something to it that it doesn't disappoint when it's at its best, and it should almost stand alone separate. And like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit more here.
Gresham's awesome. If you're gonna look at the best match of the night on any show that John Gresham's on, it's a chance pretty good chance he's in that match. Okay, he's incredibly talented. If the guy was a foot taller, 6 inches taller, he'd be on Raw or SmackDown, one of the most over guy in the world. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, agree. He can't miss, man. He's a surefire bet. Yeah. And speaking of betting, man, if you are into betting and you like to do those prop bets versus, betting against the house and all that good stuff, I mean, we're competing against everybody on all these sites, check out our friends over at Prize Picks.
You still working on this?
It's 2 minutes to kickoff. Who do I pick?
2 words, Prize Picks. It's so easy. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. It's just you against the numbers. Simply pick the over-under on 2 or more players, and that's it. You can win up to 10 times your money in just one day. Join over 150,000 people who found a better way to play. Download the Prize Picks app today and get your first deposit match up to $100.
So check it out, man. Prize Picks. Get your picks in. There's the referral code on the screen.
Yes.
Links in the show notes, all that good stuff, man. Make sure you're supporting the show through our sponsors, advertisers, friends of the show, all that good stuff. But look, man, lots of questions to get to today, and we got to keep it rolling, man. So let's get it fired off, man.
Our friend Dexter from Nashville, Tennessee. Lovely town, Dexter. I was looking about going there on a vacation just recently. Wants to know, why do you think we didn't see mass releases after WrestleMania like we always do?
Myron, this question is way too easy. It's not going to take long to answer this one. So what do you think?
They're all gone.
Right.
I mean, think about it. They've cut just about everybody that they didn't have anything hot for. They've made NXT more developmental. I don't think some of those people have like the same kind of contracts they used to have down there, especially if you're on Level Up. They've cut every cost they can, and they've made themselves more profitable. So if they cut anybody else, they'd start, in my opinion, they start cutting into their own fat, past the fat, they start cutting into the meat and the bones and the muscles. It's just, there's no fat to cut.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you there. I just think they've gone through everybody pretty much at this point that you could. I do think now, I think instead of seeing these mass releases going forward, you're going to see like a person or two released. They'll sign a person here or there. I'm hoping, God forbid, right? There's any massive releases.
I don't expect to see mass signings unless they do one like coming out of one of those. I can't remember the acronym, Nick, where they give college kids money.
Oh, the NIL deals, yeah.
NIL deals. Unless they sign a bunch of people that they've already worked into NIL deals at one time, I don't see mass signings and big acquisitions coming up anymore. It's just going to be business.
Yeah, because like even if you do like football, I don't think that they're all those NIL deals. They're going to sign. They're going to go to the performance center. They're going to train there for a long time. They'll be on level up probably first, and then so the signings, like you said, they're going to be here and there. Your signings are going to be eventually guys coming from AEW or Impact or whatever. That's I think your big signings, quote unquote, going forward. I agree with you 100%, man. So anyway.
Carl from Frankfurt, Germany. I still can't get over this damn cough. He wants to know, why do some fans complain about Theory winning the U.S. title for Finn Balor while complaining about younger talents not being pushed? And do you think Finn Balor should leave? Oh, you got 3 questions in on us there, Carl.
Yeah, he just kind of piled them on, man. So,
Jesus Christ, I'm going to need an inhaler to get through that question. It's so damn long. But he's exactly right, okay? People have been bitching that all they do is use old guys. Goldberg's coming back. And now they're pushing a guy, Austin Theory, who is a prodigy. They're moving him up. He has to beat somebody. He beat Finn Balor. He got Finn Balor's belt. He's a champion now. Someone has to lose and someone has to win in wrestling.
Well,
you can't have smudge finishes every time.
Well, and when you dissect the question, it was kind of the question, and thanks for the question. I'm not shitting on the question. It just kind of weaves in and out of a couple things. So I don't know why people are complaining about Theory winning. I mean, we should have seen this a mile away. Look, his placement at WrestleMania should have told everyone that Vince McMahon sees him as a player. And he's not wrong, by the way. Finn Balor losing shouldn't be a big deal because Finn, and I'm a huge fan of Finn Balor, but he hasn't been positioned as a major player. Even as champion, he wasn't positioned as a major player. So for him to lose the belt, listen, he was a conduit to get that belt off of Damian Priest, so Damian Priest could go into the edge angle and get it to Austin Theory coming out of, so like literally. And so again, but as far as like you saying, yes, but listen, they've complained about, they don't, they always bring back Goldberg and they always, just this guy and that guy, but they don't use younger guys. Now I'm going to pull back my reference. They're trying Ricochet. Don't shit on it. They're trying Theory. Don't shit on it. Listen, they're even trying Madcap Moss. Crap on the character as much as you want. Pete Dunne Butch. Well, it's a shitty character, but they're trying. Like, I get it. Now, as far as Finn Balor goes, man, I'm going to say this. I think Finn Balor, backpedal up, I'm going to say this. I don't think it's just Finn Balor. I think most of the people that are in WWE right now will stay in WWE unless they're released.
I agree 100% because clearly these guys will do business. And so they're a much more valued asset to a company, and they're going to continue to pay them, and they're going to leave if they're getting paid. Okay? The people that want to get over and the people that want to be booked well, they may go. But your core, they're lifers. I can't see them ever leaving. It's a great job for them.
I think those mass releases we just referenced in the last question, I think most of, and this is not a knock on those people, by the way. I admire what they did, leaving or wanting to leave. Yeah. The point I'm saying is I think the people that are still there, they're okay. They're okay with this is what it is. The WWE system is what it is. And if they're going to keep paying us and keep us under contract, we're okay staying here.
Well, I mean, even if you don't have any retirement, you have money income the rest of your life. Basically, you'll all be super famous, and you'll be able to use that to get yourself endorsement deals. You'll be able to use that to get convention money. I think these guys are in a lot better shape than people think they're in.
Well,
You know,
look at financially. That I get it. Long term, if you want something post WWE, or post, active wrestling career, there's a reason you want to there's a reason to be WWE. And I think our next question, believe it or not, leads us right into a great example of that.
mm-hmm. Kyle from New Haven, West Virginia. What are your thoughts on the WWE crapping on Drew Gulak and making him an announcer?
So that exactly was what we were just talking about. Because my thing is, Myron, is it really crapping on him?
What's Gulak been doing lately?
Nothing. He hasn't been in a meaningful storyline in forever.
Honestly, I never could tell Gulak and Tony Nese apart. I know that sounds shitty. I always thought they were one guy. Now Tony Nese is over on Dark, getting to wrestle, and Gulak's on Raw being an announcer. Where would you rather see him? Oh, sorry, it's on SmackDown. I apologize. Where would you rather see, if you like the guy, you can't see him wrestle here. But if you liked him, you'd be happy with him getting money and paid and having a job. What's wrong with just having a damn job? If you're a backstage interviewer or you're a commentator.
Yeah.
Look at all the guys that are agents now. Maybe that's what they want to do with him. That's where they're going to see the success with the guy.
Yeah, I mean,
makes sense to me.
Listen, I mean, I heard a quote and it was cracked me up. Dutch Mantell basically pointed out how, look, it doesn't matter how talented we think Drew Gulak is, right?
Yeah.
Once the WWE / let's say what it is, Vince McMahon makes up his mind, and the fans help that whole thing, by the way, because when he's on Main Event or he's on whatever he's on, the 205 Live, whatever, the fans aren't going banana. They're not going crazy to the point they're going to push him on TV.
He's not selling. He doesn't have 90 items in the WWEshop.com kind of stuff. It's use him. He's under contract. Use him.
Yeah, I mean, he at one point has to decide, do I continue beating my body to just beating it up week after week after week on Main Event, because 205 Live I'm there. NXT, if he's on Level Up helping, he's on NXT, whatever. Or did they come to him and go look, we could use your presence for our international audience as far as an announcer goes.
Yeah.
Plus, by the way, if we ever need to get physical, we can get physical with you because you can take bumps.
Exactly.
And
take a few bumps instead of all the bumps.
Right, exactly. But if it's an announcer, it would be few and far between he's having to take those bumps. Yeah. But it's, look, once again, I always say it's depending on what you want out of your life. Sometimes I always tell people, chase your dreams, and try to do everything you want to do. But sometimes, however, one day, you're closer to on the back end of that chase and you still haven't gotten it. That maybe when there's an offer like that sitting there that you're like, maybe this is it. Maybe this is my new, to stay in this business, to stay in this. Mm-hmm. Because like you said, I mean, again, I'm not knocking Tony Nese for going over to AEW and, but it's hey, if I go over to AEW, am I going to be on Dark and Elevation and, or can I just be on SmackDown and Raw or whatever as a commentator, as an announcer, whatever? Sometimes that's the new dream.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. It's like my kid and me. My mother always advised me to stick safe and pick a career where I would be financially stable. Well, I did, and it's boring as hell. My daughter's a music major, going to be a music major because that's her passion. And I'm encouraging it. But sometimes I'm encouraging it, but the fact I've got money for my job of making a secure decision, she can live out her life. Correct. So it's life is like that. It's just like that sometimes.
Sometimes, decisions are always clean cut.
No.
But you know what is clean cut, Myron?
Oh, yeah.
That's all of our fans who have listened to us over the last few weeks as we've talked about Manscaped. Check out our friends over at Manscaped and see what old Marshawn Lynch has to say today.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa! personal foul.
What the feezy?
You can't use a beard trimmer below the 50-yard line. This is the Waterproof Lawnmower 4.0 by Manscaped.
What's the difference?
It's got new skin-safe technology to help reduce cuts and nicks. It's powerful, yet gentle, just like me.
Dog, I appreciate you. Woo. Hey, watch out. I'm not ticklish. Get yours at manscaped.com.
That's right, man. Get yours at manscaped.com with the link right there in the show notes. We always, again, help support the show and keep us going. It gives us a way to kind of, do this every week and keep it on coming. But look, speaking of something that's not coming next week, it leads us dead right into our next question, Myron.
Oh, Josh from Colorado Springs, Colorado. With Sinclair's TV deal ending with Ring of Honor, what should Tony Khan do for exposure for Ring of Honor? Well, they're all over his damn AEW program.
That is true. That is true. Listen, we discussed brand splits coming to an end in WWE. I don't think that's going to happen, but I wished it did. Now, here's the funny part. Total hypocrisy. I think Ring of Honor / AEW should go that route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time. And it's not really a brand split. They have two different products. Regardless of what you want to say, AEW has become more sports entertainment. Okay? Yeah, they was going to start out to be basically Big League Ring of Honor. I think we pretty much got it to it's a more similar to WWE than it is to Ring of Honor, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The spots and characters. The purity of Ring of Honor was always its appeal, and the people that liked it would love it. I think you could take a few guys, and hell, you've got Jay Lethal, William Regal. Those guys could make you an entire new program, put together what they did with NXT, with Regal and Joe, and you could have something amazing. So,
yeah, I think, like you said, they actually have two different products that would be distinct from each other. So you could do AEW Wednesday, Ring of Honor Rampage, whatever. Hell, if you need a way to get there, by the way, War Games or blah, 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 some Team Ring of Honor versus Team AEW feud. And
that would be awesome.
Yeah, they build to the point that we're like, Ring of Honor wins, we get a show. Like, we get to take over Rampage. And they get their own show kind of thing. And then it's Ring of Honor over here and, AEW. And then they run completely separate. And then, blah, 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 all this kind of different things. But it's because I think they have a true brand identity between the two, where Ring of Honor is more pure wrestling, quote unquote. And so I think they have that opportunity to do that. I would be excited for that versus when we talk about WWE, it's the same show between Fox, that it's one is on Fox and one on USA.
Yeah. It's not dramatically. It's 5 hours. A lot of the stuff you could just switch back and forth and it wouldn't matter at all. It would, you couldn't tell it was different. So I think the difference is a strength for them.
Yeah, because like I said, Roman goes to Raw or SmackDown, wrestles the same match and it doesn't affect anything.
Yeah.
If, in the perfect world, I think there is a little bit of distinction between you're working, especially that pure style wrestling, the pure championship and all that kind of stuff over on, Ring of Honor versus even wrestling it. Cause we're not putting people through tables and, bleeding death. I mean, every week, and is it a knock? Is it I don't know.
Ooh.
Every week there's a gimmick match.
Yeah.
And every week it seems like somebody's bleeding on AEW, one of the two shows.
And this is something that's going to lead into our next question about AEW and their success and their content.
Yeah.
Trey from White City, Florida. Do you guys think AEW is really making money on their TV product and WarnerMedia is happy with them? Well, we don't know because they're a private company. And two, we need to go to Eric Bischoff on this. Roll the numbers, Nick.
Yeah, so pardon we record weird and the landscape company's here, so if you hear the buzzing going on, I don't know if you can or not, but it's I hate that it's even happening, but it is what it is at this point. But Bischoff's notes, that I took. It was he basically said nobody, because AEW is private, they're not public like WWE, so they don't have to put their numbers out here. So he was just guessing the cost of producing Dynamite / Rampage, because since they're taped together now.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like, look, I'd be shocked if it was less than $450,000 an episode, give or take. He's like, look, they're making on average, I think, about $865,000 a week to produce television. That's what they're being paid, because I think it's like, what, $40 million for the entire year. So you break
3
that
hours.
down. Yeah, so 3 hours, and they're taping it all in one now. Occasionally they'll do a live, but for the most part, it's all taped in one shot now. He's like, but then you got to throw paying talent on top of that. You got to pay travel on top of that. Mm-hmm. There's catering and blah, 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 all these things that you're going to pile on top of that. So it's kind of hard, but it's still hard to argue. Like, are they making any money? Look, if I were to guess, that answer is no. But from a business person's stake, there's lots of, when you typically start your business, you don't make money your first year typically. Mm-mm. It's usually years down the road before you really are like making money. And I think, so if you told me like, hey, they're losing, but they're not as bad as they were year one, and not, or not as two, they're getting better, it's turning around. As a business person, I would go, that makes sense. And I understand.
It's a startup. Vince had to mortgage his house to pay for the first WrestleMania. And now we just had our 38th one. Okay, it's not an overnight sensation. It's something you have to get in there and grind. Is it a stable product for TVS? Are they happy with it? I don't know. But the thing is, they can't drive off advertisers with this blood and guts shit.
But hold on, though. We don't know that they are. That's the other part. Like, we don't know if they are. Like, are they getting like high-end advertising? Are they getting the middle tier, lower tier? Is TBS and TNT, are they happy with Rampage? Like, I think right now it's hard to know. There are moments when decisions are made that I would think, but I like to be fair as always, right? I say, sometimes decisions with scheduling are made that I'm like, that didn't look
you're
like
not a priority.
You're not a priority.
Well, if it's the NBA, you're not a priority.
Well, you're a priority. You're just not that kind of priority.
Well, when they turn around, AEW put out that show on Saturday night. That was the number 10 show on cable television. Did it cost less than to broadcast an episode of Law and Order SVU? I don't know. I don't know what the broadcast rights to that cost. But it was already made. It was. I wouldn't think wrestling would be a sure bet to make money on for a network. How many used car dealerships and payday loan people want to advertise on the network television? Shaq and the General and all the other lower dollar advertisers, I would assume. But you've got a whole new person coming in now with this merger who's been doing a different kind of television. I listened to the Cornette bit on the new executive coming in from Discovery, and she's more of a Discovery type person. She's a HGTV and a Oprah and all that other stuff. So she might be appalled by all this. She might be the person that's like, well, we can't have that on our television. Why are we paying for that? Or that's a great bargain. If they're a bargain, they'll keep them.
Yeah. It all comes back to like, it's the same argument I have about Raw and SmackDown on Fox. Like, are the people happy if they're getting advertising rates and they're getting the numbers that they're happy with? It's new, consistent ratings, 52 weeks a year. And that's my only thing. Like, I do think that AEW has to do something, because the numbers, like Rampage was 600,000, 482, and everybody's like, oh, well, if it's 100 and something thousand, you're not a big deal on Raw, because it's 5-10%.
Yeah.
When you're talking 600, you're like, okay, that's a little bit bigger. When you're talking 120, 150,000, people, it's chunks. And I think so. That's but I do it's time. But it goes back to what I said about the brand split. I think if you could put Ring of Honor on Rampage, and you could put, by the way, guess what? You get to entertain all the audience because you're taping them on the same show.
Oh yeah.
So you're still getting to appease everybody in the live audience.
Yeah.
But then you could make one more, a little more. Listen, I get it. They're alternative. You don't want to go full WWE. You could go a little more and try to draw in a little more of that, casual fan base. And then your Ring of Honor, because, they could feed your diehard base. Because here's my question. Do you think, does Ring of Honor, and let us know, tappedoutpod@gmail.com, and then I'm going to ask you the same thing, Myron. Would a pure Ring of Honor show draw the same numbers that AEW Rampage is drawing right now? I don't know that answer, but it's a good question.
That's a damn good question. I don't know what they were drawing. I don't know what they were drawing on Sinclair because they were just a filler from Sinclair, and they never really ran them in prime time, right?
Right. Well, it still wouldn't be. I mean, it'd be 10 o'clock on Fridays, but mine's, but that's my thing. If you're still taping it and would it still draw that same 450, 500 to 650, whatever number, no matter what? If it was Ring of Honor, and then at least you can try to build that brand separately than AEW Dynamite.
I think you could.
Well,
I think you could. You could have a standalone program that you could eventually start selling tickets and pay-per-views on again, if you were doing well enough with it. And if it got big enough, you could launch it and get another hour, maybe, or put it in a better slot.
Maybe does it draw a crowd that gets us better that it slides down in that time slot, like to a more of a prime time slot than that 10 o'clock.
Well,
hour.
You got to run against SmackDown, and that's the problem. That's really where your thing is. You're basically producing the third hour of SmackDown right now.
Yeah.
Because it's not a different product. Okay.
But Ring of Honor would be a pure, differently product.
Exactly.
So that I would love for that to be the question of the general, question of the week, to get some answers and see what, the listeners think. Let us know, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. We greatly appreciate that. Of course, if you're over on patreon.com/tappedoutpod and you're catching this show early, comment right in the, in the feed there. Just comment, and, that way I get it and I can see your name and everything, who it's from, and I'll kind of try to bounce back and forth and interact. But again, make sure if you're a Patreon member, patreon.com/tappedoutpod, get the show early, get it, all that good stuff, all the extras, weekly schedules, blah, 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 all that good stuff. You know what I'm talking about if you're a member over there. If you're not, though, there's other places you also want to make sure you're subscribed, you're signed up for. The big one, of course, is over on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed. Click that little bell, turn on those notifications, so every time we drop something, like the Georgia Indie Talk section we're about to record right after this, you'll get that one, and when it drops on there, give us a 5-star rating review if you're subscribing on one of the podcast platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartMedia, Amazon Music, anywhere and everywhere there's a podcast platform. Make sure you are signed up somewhere. I was just curious, I want to know, hey, what's your go-to? tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Let us know what's your go-to. Where do you listen? Where do you watch? Whatever, all week long. I'm just curious just to see. I've got those numbers, but hey, I'd like to see just the interaction and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, who likes what, like a demographic type thing.
Yeah, It'd be fun. Be fun to do. But that's everything on the national show. Like I said, we are going to drop right after this. We're going to record right into the Georgia Indie stuff on a separate episode. So that's all I have on the national level. Do you got anything else?
No. It was a crazy week. I didn't get as much wrestling as I'd like to have, so I can't speak on everything. What I did see, I talked about. I can't help. I think we did fine.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything else we need to cover. I can't wait for this week's wrestling. I got my cable fixed so I can watch wrestling live again. Guys, we're at a high spot for wrestling in this world.
Yeah, man.
Professional wrestling is everywhere. It may not have the same ratings, but it's everywhere for you to see it. And you look at the damn YouTube videos. The YouTube videos of that Joe Suzuki match, 1 million views. Okay? That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people watching wrestling now if you just can't see it. You have to look all over the place to find it.
Yeah, you got to do a little digging, man. It's true. So, again, make sure you're signing up for us so you're not digging for us as well. But, well, man, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.